Hey guys, welcome back to Bible Answers in 5 Minutes. I'm Brad, and we are still addressing the question of who are the two witnesses of Revelation 11, Part 2. You can go back and check out Part 1. In that, we kind of looked at the verse and in the main theory of it being Moses and Elijah, who many think are the two witnesses, but we're still not quite sure. So in Part 2 today, we're going to look at some of those other possibilities, and we'll just discuss that. All right, so let's get started. Now, the other view is that of Enoch and Elijah. And the reason why most people have this view is because neither men died. They were essentially taken by God before they had a chance to taste death. Genesis in the book of Hebrews tells us that Enoch, he walked with God, and he was not because God took him. Enoch did not experience death because God had taken him away, because he was commended as one who pleased God. And then the other one, of course, is Elijah, who, when he was walking with Elijah down the road, a chariot of fire came and took Elijah up in a whirlwind, and Elijah also did not taste death. Now, this idea of them not dying but being taken away has been taken a hold of in throughout all of church history, going back to the first century, all the way up even into the Middle Ages. You have many, many prominent church fathers who basically believed that it would be these two. You had Irenaeus, Tertullian, Hippolytus, Gregory, Thomas Aquinas, so many others who just kind of gravitated toward this idea that the two men who did not die would also be the two men who would come back to earth a second time during the reign of the Antichrist. And they would die, but God would raise them from the dead 3.5 days later. The gist of their arguments kind of go like this, that basically in Hebrews 9:27 it says that it is appointed for men once to die and then the judgment. So basically that God, he must have reserved Enoch and Elijah as his witnesses for this future time because, they hadn't died yet. Another one of their arguments basically says that it was Enoch and Elijah who have been waiting in heaven since their natural bodies were taken up into heaven through all of the intervening ages since their respective translations, hence why they were standing in Revelation 11:4, standing and waiting for the last day when they will return to the earth. And Thomas Aquinas, his argument kind of boils down to essentially Elijah was raised into the aerial and the empyrean heaven, which is the abode of the saints. In like manner, Enoch, he was carried to a terrestrial paradise, where he and Elijah, it is believed, will live together until the coming of the Antichrist. So you have these different arguments from the different church fathers about who the identity of these two men are, and again, most of them gravitated toward the latter, while many believers today tend to focus more on the former. Other common views that have become more popular in recent years, it's just simply that we don't know who they are, that these two witnesses are two future people. They are unknown. We have no idea who they are. They might be born right now, and they may not be born until a future date. But when they show up, they will receive the anointing of those old prophets, kind of similar to how John the Baptist came before the first coming of Christ, and that he came in the spirit and in the power of Elijah. Likewise, that these two future prophets, before the second coming of Christ, they will receive kind of that spirit and that power and that anointing of the prophets of old. And then you have some views which are just kind of more allegorical. They say that the two witnesses are the Jewish and Gentile believers. Others think that it's the Catholic and the Protestant churches. And some go even a little bit further down the hole, and they just say that, it's the whole thing is just an allegory for the believing and for the witnessing church itself. I personally, I kind of just dismiss these three because, like I said, the text both in Zechariah and in Revelation seems to imply very heavily that while there is some symbolism to describe them, but in essence, these two anointed ones, they are men. They have flesh and blood bodies that will be killed and then resurrected 3 days later. There are two prophets. They're not they're not allegories for the church or for the Jewish nation or for the Israel or for some other subset and groups of people. They seem to be two very specific individuals. There you go. I hope this video was a little bit informative for you guys. Like I said at the beginning, this is a topic that has been debated in the church for thousands of years as to the identity of these two guys. Are they prophets of old, or are they two new guys who will come in the spirit of those prophets? Who knows? We'll know when we get there, I guess. But if you've liked this video, please subscribe and like us on YouTube, and link us and share us on different social media platforms. And if you have any questions for me about this topic or any other, leave them down in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to try and answer them or even make a video about it. Hope you guys have a great day, and God bless. See you next time.